Iven Frangi. Welcome to 5 Minutes with O. Now, in the 15 years we've been booking you, I've seen you go from the customer service guy and now you've gone into customer experience.
Yep.
Now, I've noticed that has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you're doing now.
Well, service was one of those very interesting things that we were finding service levels were going up, but the customer's experience was going down. And actually what happened was I was working in a client. And I don't even remember those arcade games where they've got those little things like alligators and you bash them on the head. Right. What I found was I was actually in a client and I spent 3 years working within the client. And we'd go and look after the customer service area. That was fine. We'd fix that up. And then we'd go and look after the sales area. And while we're fixing that one up, the customer service area dropped off. And while we're doing that, we're ignoring the call centre. And what was actually happening was we were like that arcade game where you're bashing all the things down and constantly trying to figure out which one's coming up next. And I did some research on what was actually going on. And what was happening was the service levels in each one were good, but the experience, the choreography, if you like, across the whole business wasn't really hitting the mark, and people were getting frustrated. So I started to have a look at what was the customer's experience across any touch point that the customer could deal with. And there were certain things they were getting frustrated about. For example, they're on the phone and somebody can't see the history that they have with that business, or they're talking in one of the retail areas and the head office doesn't quite know what's going on. So people were getting frustrated. So I started talking about customer experience, not knowing anything about it. And then a friend of mine who you know, Craig Rispin, said to me, have you ever Googled that? About 8 years ago. And I said, no. So I Googled it and found there was actually a pretty exciting community of people that were in that stage developing, looking at what's the customer's experience versus what kind of service levels we're giving. Because the interesting irony is in those days, the service levels were actually rising in a lot of cases because businesses were getting much more efficient. The challenge was they weren't getting all that much more effective with customers.
That was 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, that's why you're ahead of everybody else, because everyone else is just getting onto the customer experience thing more recently. But what you've done is you've taken customer service out of a customer service department and you've made it right across a whole organisation by flipping it, really.
Well, pretty much. And what we found is that customer service is a core component of delivering the customer's experience. And there's some irony in this. I'm sure you've dealt with Amazon like a lot of people who are, watching this. When you actually have a look at Amazon, they don't have customer service. They have a great customer experience, which is actually delivered by a whole lot of processes that force the customer to get what they want. But if you actually have a look at Amazon, you don't talk to anybody. Whereas when we think of customer service, we think of people. The challenge is that people, when we think of that, in the case of Amazon, for example, there are no people involved. You do it all by computer, you get automated emails, they send you things saying your book's on its way, and it's a great experience, and the service levels are very high. But when you actually have a look at it, the people aren't there.
I've noticed in the bookings that we've done for you, either it's a CEO group or it's a sales group because of your strong sales background, or it's the whole staff.
Yeah, absolutely. And they want different things. CEOs want, how do I get more share of wallet? How do I get more of the customer's money out of their pocket into my pocket? Salespeople want to know, how do I think more like a customer so that I'm delivering precisely what they want, which may or may not be what we're trying to sell? And the third thing is the teams, and the teams is really integrating what the strategic people have decided at CEO level, what the salespeople are trying to tell the customers, and what they have to deliver at the ground level.
So it's a great standalone keynote, but I've noticed some of our clients, I think they've fallen in love with you, Frangi. They've brought you in to do a process. What is this process?
Well, the process was really a simple one. We had to step back to move forward. And what we had to do was we move the companies backwards and say, let's figure out what your customers really want. And we have a third-party survey system that we bring in. And what we do is we get the truth of the matter, because a lot of clients are deluded. A lot of people are deluded about what the customers really want. So we tell them what you really want. We then design the process to manage, design the interaction, the experience. We deliver it, and we say, okay, this is what the customer's actually getting. And then we decide whether or not what we've delivered is actually what we were supposed to do in the first place. So we complete the loop, if you like, between truth of what the customer wants and the reality of what they're actually delivering.
Iven Frangi, thank you for spending 5 minutes with O.
It's been a great pleasure. Thank you.